Thank you very much. And I feel like I'm in the heart of Santa Monica right now. It is amazing. When I got elected to office, California still had a Republican governor. It was still voting Republican for president. And in less than 20 years, we are as deep blue as you can get. To you and to all the Democrats who take the time on a wonderful Saturday evening to be here to acknowledge all the stalwart Democrats who worked so hard for the party here in Arlington County, to honor those who have given so much, to recognize all those who are running for elected office. Congratulations, because Virginia will be blue. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but you selected two of the best in the House of Representatives to acknowledge one of our dear friends and one of the best members the U.S. House of Representatives has ever had. And Donna Edwards and Jerry Connolly, you mined and you found some gold. And they are both wonderful members. We're going to hold them as long as we can before they go on to some other higher office likely. But as long as they want to stay in the House, we will take them. I have to say that I'm the chairman of the House Democratic Caucus, and I need some good votes as well. But they are great members, and I am thrilled that I could join both of them to be able to acknowledge a dear friend. And I probably can't tell you more than you know about Jim Miranda, but I can tell you some things you probably don't know about Jim Miranda. No, not those things, Jim. First, I have to acknowledge that I hail from that suburb of Arlington County we call Los Angeles, so it's easy for me to talk quite a bit about what happens here in Arlington. Actually, my wife works not far from here at Virginia Hospital. She's an OBGYN, and so Virginia is not unfamiliar to us. So let me tell you a couple of things about Jim. Jim has many good years left in him, and unlike some folks, he's decided to continue to work hard to keep growing this country blue. But I think single-handedly Jim knew that he could make sure that there would be Saturday delivery by the United States Postal Service by not running for office and having all these candidates running and making sure that over the weekend there would be mail delivered on Saturday. And so we want to thank Jim for keeping all those great postal workers and letter carriers and all the folks that work for the U.S. Postal Service employed and working on Saturday, right? What you also didn't know about Jim is that, well, actually, you do know one thing. You know he speaks his mind, right? What he says he means, and what he means he says. Sometimes he says more than he means. But the beautiful thing about Jim Miranda, he said, how many politicians do you know who say one thing and later on you find out they meant something totally different? That is not Jim Miranda. That has never been Jim Miranda. You've heard from my colleagues that he's a fighter. And you've heard them intimate that he has the courage of his convictions. Let me give you the examples that you may know, but you don't realize how important some of his actions have been. I've been in the Congress almost as long as Jim, so I've watched him. I admire what he does. There were 128 members in Congress who were courageous enough to tell then President Bush that the war in Iraq was not right. Many of us were called traitors to our country. I remember many occasions, especially after doing interviews on Fox News, when I get the phone ringing off the hook and saying, go back to Mexico. 128 members voted against that resolution to go to war in Iraq. I guarantee you, when Jim did what he thought, because of the courage of his conviction, he didn't know that 10 years later, everyone would have voted for Jim Miranda. me put you back a second. Let me put you back a few years. There were 67 members out of 435 in the House of Representatives who voted against the Defense of Marriage Act, which now we know the Supreme Court has overturned. 67, there were more than 67 Democrats in the House of Representatives in 1997. I'm proud that I joined Jim Moran as one of those 67 people who voted against the Defense of Marriage Act. A lot of Democrats voted against the Bush tax cuts, which have led to massive deficits. But let me tell you the vote that, to me, crystallized who Jim Moran is. Last year, in January, with a Democratic president, there was a compromise reached on how to avoid the so-called fiscal cliff. That compromise included extending most of the Bush tax cuts. It was portrayed as a compromise. Jim and I know that it actually added about $4 trillion to the national debt. There were 16 people out of 435 who voted against that fiscal cliff deal. And I say this because it was a compromise, and it was put there before us by our president and the vice president. So many Democrats, understanding that the leader of our party had worked this deal, urged us to move forward. And Democrats were given the chance to vote as they wished on that bill. 16 of us voted no. Not because we wanted to go against our president. Not because we didn't understand what the compromise was. I think Jim saw something in that. He knew that it would continue this course of Tea Party shutdown of government, where federal workers would be the guinea pigs, where we would constantly see tax cuts put up against services for women and children, and elderly, the disabled. And even though we had the Vice President of the United States who came and spoke to our caucus, we invited the Vice President to speak to our caucus on behalf of the President the day before the vote, there were a few people who spoke up and voted against that bill. Jim Moran is one of those 16. I will say to you, as a member of the House of Democratic Leadership, I am proud that, once again, I stood with Jim Moran and was one of the 16. You know, that you can go either way on any number of these issues. DOMA now is settled. More and more people are understanding what it meant to go to war in Iraq unilaterally on a whim because there were no money clouds. There may still be debate about the fiscal cliff deal, but that's not the point. The point is, when Jim puts himself out there and he says something, he means it. You don't like him? You'll know it. But if this House of Representatives, if your state legislature, if your county board of supervisors, if your city councils, if anyone running for dog catcher wants to have any credibility in this world, if you want to have the reputation that will lead you to secure the vote of someone who can't be there to fight for her children or fight for his Medicare, then you better look for folks like Jim Moran. Because that's what we need in Congress. That's what we need in elected office. And that's why it's a very special occasion when I can join Congresswoman Don Edwards, Congressman Jerry Connolly, to pay tribute to a guy who had many years left in him still and has always been a fighter, but at the end of the day, he's a friend because he keeps his promise, and he's a man who has a courage in his conviction. Jim Moran, we will miss you, but you have made us a greater country. Thank you so much.